You are listening to Sipping Off the Cuff on TequilaAficionado.com. This is Alex Perez, and I am with our executive editor, Mike Morales. Mike Morales in New Mexico, and
yes,
I am in
sir.
Southern California. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing good. We're trying to stay warm. When you folks are listening to this, we are in the middle of winter, and if for those of you people listening to us back east or in the Midwest or in the South, we're all in the same boat. We're all, well, except for people in Southern California, but we're all freezing. We're trying to stay warm here in New Mexico.
Nice
we are.
today.
A lot of folks don't know we're a mile high, and we have no atmosphere. So when it gets cold, it gets really cold.
Well, on the menu today,
yes,
we have the wonderful line Nobleza Tequila.
Yes,
And
yes.
This is Paula Torres's. Would you call it her brainchild, maybe?
It's her brainchild. Paula Torres is the brand owner of Nobleza Azul Tequila. Now, this tequila, for those of you who visited us at Spirits of Mexico 2010 in San Diego in September of last year, may remember this brand. It is a gold medal winner. I believe it's a gold medal winner for one of the varietals, actually the Blanco. And let's see here. I'm looking at my makeshift POS material here. The Añejo is also a gold medal winner. And Paula, she's unusual in that number one, of course, she's a female. She's a woman who owns her own tequila brand. But not only does she own the brand, she is also an agave grower. Her family grows the agave. This is an estate-grown agave and estate bottled tequila, and she is one of those rare people who grew up in both the United States and in Mexico. And her sister actually handles the agave growing and the processing, the plantation for the family, and she very much grew up with agave, and agave is in her blood, and literally her idea of the marketing is to market the bottle and the brand itself. In fact, she told me, I speak with her at length very often, and she told me that the bottle itself, the tequila itself, has its own business card. And Alex, you might remember they had a big banner in front of their booth, their location at Spirits of Mexico, and it said, "There's a new girl in town." And there was a picture of course, the bottle, and the bottle's an unusual shape. It is her design. It is not something that that they paid big bucks to have a company design for them. So every single aspect of this tequila has her hands on it, and she's very. She has a very good idea as to how she wants it marketed, how she wants it perceived. In my discussions with her, I've told her, there are very, very few pictures of her because she really wants the tequila to stand out, to stand on its own. But more and more, she's finding herself so popular because the tequila is doing so well that she has been more and more out front of the brand, which I'm very happy to see. And we have all three varietals for us today. We have the Blanco, the Reposado, and the medal-winning Añejo. And I'm kind of anxious to give these a sip. I don't know if you've had any. Did you have any at Spirits of Mexico while you were there?
I did, and I did enjoy it. And it's impressive. She comes from, I guess it's 5 generations of agave growers.
Yes. And they're the real deal. Ladies and gentlemen, they are not, they're not a series of investors. They are very much a family business. For those of you who are tequila nuts and geeks like myself, you might know that their distillery is a NOM 1414, which is Feliciano Vivanco and Asociados. So, for those of you who do follow me or that particular distillery, you know that I'm a big supporter of what Alex and I call the Mozart method. And what that is this particular distillery has adopted the practice of playing Baroque music during the fermentation process of this tequila, and every tequila that comes out of that distillery follows that protocol. And now Nobleza is even distinguishes itself from those other tequilas, as good as they are, because the Feliciano Vivanco family has like this cult following among tequila connoisseurs. Anything that comes out of that particular distillery is heavily sought after, and there are several brands. You may have heard of them before. There's Buscadores. There is one that it's almost unobtainable in the United States called Viva Mexico. That is so popular. There is, of course, Nobleza. Siembra Azul is another one of my favorites from that distillery. Chamucos was formerly at that distillery, so if you find bottles of Chamucos with the Gnome 1414, those were the ones also with Baroque played in the background while it was fermenting.
How about Muchote?
Excuse me?
I think Muchote is out of there too.
Muchote is another one, absolutely. They are all these tequilas are also kosher. They are blessed by priests as well. Yayo Tequila is another one. Ryan Kelly, our associate and partner at Tequila Aficionado, is getting ready to post an article on John Bullington and Yayo Tequila. So there are very, very many of these brands that are coming out of this distillery that are excellent. Now, what's different with Nobleza is that they're playing a specific composer.
Okay.
Yeah, she actually plays Vivaldi, and she can tell you which movement. I guess for those of you who are classical, and I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on this myself because I'm not much of a classical person, but we are coming up with an article on this Mozart method, and there are certain in Vivaldi. Evidently, their movements are called they call them seasons, and so Paula plays a particular season while they're fermenting her tequila. And so it makes it, not only is it being done with that process, but it is also just a notch different from what everybody else is playing. And for those of you who have a bottle of Nobleza or have not seen it or have thought about picking it up, this little tasting will give you a chance to see what we think and see what you think.
Very good. That's very, very interesting. Well, the whole topic on playing this music while they're fermenting is interesting.
Yeah, we're heavily you know that I've been heavily researching this method, and we're very close to finishing up the preliminary article on. I think it'll be the playing music while it's fermenting is a mystery to a lot of people, and many people are not aware that there are distilleries who are doing that. But there are two chemical engineers who are responsible for that process, and literally they are considered the fathers of modern day tequila. So it's going to be a really interesting article, very in depth, and it will explain what makes these tequilas a little bit different than some of the other ones that you're used to having. So I've got my Riedel glass. By the way, just so the folks know, when we do our tastings, Alex and I have not. We haven't compared any notes previously. We don't know what the other thinks until we actually we're even though these are taped ahead of time, we are doing them live, and so we use the special Rita Overture tequila glass for these tastings. We don't use rocks glasses or plastic glasses, anything like that. We use the special the official tequila glass manufactured by Riedel. And what do you think? We should start with the Blanco first and work our way up?
Of course.
Okay. All right.
So I've got
Let's
one.
pour some. Now, for those of you who have seen the bottle, it is an unusual shape. It is Paula Torres' personal design. The cork, everything is glass, including the cork, and the cork is like an accordion, a plastic accordion cork. You may have to be careful with it because if you pull a little too hard, the glass cork comes off, and the rubber portion of it is on the neck. But that is a situation that they are working with right now. So
the bartender gets a good bottle that they can handle with their hand. So they think she might have had that in mind. It's easy to pour.
Yes,
Easy to handle. and it'll fit easy on the shelf too.
Yeah, it looks very nice too. I mean, it's a bottle that looks like it's a wave. You know, there's like a wave to it if you look at it. It's got a good hand feel, you know, to it also. So, yeah, it's very conducive to your bar and very elegant looking as well.
All right. Well, I've got mine poured. What do you find in the nose there?
Well,
got a crisp agave scent to it, like all Blancos.
Yes, and again, I'm doing a little comparison myself with whatever I've had before from that distillery, from the Vivanco distillery, Gnome 1414. There is always there's something distinct about the tequilas that come out of there. First of all, it pours nicely. It pours beautifully. There's some nice bubbles that dissipate right away. Nice legs on this tequila too.
Yes.
It is very clear. It's not cloudy. It's beautiful, bright. It's a bright color. It's a bright silver.
Now, it definitely has a nice clean nose to this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's got I want to say the agave really opens up in the glass here, at least on my sample.
I noticed that
it opens up right away.
Yeah.
It's really green. It's delicious.
Very, very fresh.
Yes.
Now, it's not an overpowering tequila. Again, for those of you who are not familiar with the Vivanco distillery, it is a Highlands tequila. It is based in Arandas. And I believe Paula Torres's estate, where they grow the agave, is even a smaller town than Arandas, if you can believe that. So it's definitely a Highlands tequila. It's not. I wouldn't say it was a typical Highlands tequila, though. Would you?
No, I don't think so.
Typically, some of the Highlands tequilas are usually flowery with a good nose and rather and sometimes very sweet. This one doesn't have that sweetness to it, though. Not that I can taste. It's really more green than sweet.
Yes, it is more green. I get a little citrus in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not very flowery though. Just but aside from the citrus, it's not a flowery kind of smell. It leans more towards citrus and more green, and its taste isn't as sweet though. I'm surprised. It's just agave. You know.
It's got a really nice soft mouthfeel to it, and it gives you a nice little numbness to the mouth. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's not overpowering.
The Blanco alone is very sippable, very sippable. Almost to the point where I would hesitate to mix it. Not that it's not mixable, but it's so good on its own that I would hate to mix it myself. And it's my own personal feeling about that.
Well, I like to buy usually the less expensive tequilas for my margaritas, but I like to try these high-end ones with them too, because obviously the better quality product you use in a mixed drink, the better quality cocktail you're going to have.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
you want to make sure that the cocktail shines, though. You know, you want to make sure that the tequila, you don't lose the tequila in the ingredients either. So, and I know that Alex is very much a student of mixology. So, you're going to be very particular as to what tequilas you'll mix with your.
It all depends on how many people you're going to have coming over.
Well, that's true too. And whether they appreciate the tequila or not. Right?
There you go.
Okay, I get it.
No, very, very nice tequila. What I like to do is I like to put it, when I put it in my mouth, put it on the tongue, let it roll off the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the real nice mouthfeel to it. After you've swallowed, try to breathe in through your mouth. Let the cold air breathe in through your mouth. And you get the full effect of all the flavors. Yeah, it makes you cough a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit if you're not careful, if you're not used to it. Yeah.
And you can really tell the distillation too. It's very, very good. It's a very good product.
Now, haven't spoken at length to Paula Torres, and she will be a subject of an upcoming article on Tequila Aficionado. Apart from Nobleza, she has an interesting background, and but I can tell you she also has some very traditional views on what tequila is and what she feels tequila should be. She feels very, very strongly about the tequila should be treated like a woman. Like I said, she's given it its own personality. It has its own business card, which I think is an interesting concept. She is completely responsible for this brand. The brand is in her name. When we do the article on her, she will explain to our readers the trials and tribulations of being a woman in a male-dominated industry. Now, what's interesting to me is that there are more and more women who are venturing into this into tequila as brand owners, as distillers. I know that Alex, you've talked to a couple who are mistress distillers, I guess you could call them, or master tequileros. And one that I know of who is an owner of a distillery, and I've gotten wind of one other one that will be opening up very shortly under another for another project that's coming up that we have the scoop on here at Tequila Aficionado that even Alex doesn't know about. But the women are really heavily getting into this industry, but it's not easy. And there are certain things that that Paula has gone through to get this tequila to market. And yet when you meet her, when you talk with her, when she's out there grassroots, just hugging, what I call kissing babies and shaking hands, she really endears herself to the club owners. She does her best to make sure that everything is advantageous not just to her but also to her customers. So she is very much an old style tequila owner. Very much like cut from the same cloth as the old Sauzas, the Cuervos. She's got that thing about her. But because she's a female, of course, it's much more pronounced and very proud of her. I can't say enough about this product and how well it's done in such a short time. They've only been really on the market for 6 months, Alex. Their debut was literally at Spirits of Mexico, and from then on, it's been one victory after another. And so, highly recommend the Blanco. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if I would want to mix it in a cocktail, but again, I'm a purist. But you're the cocktail student, so you would. I guess you would experiment with this, wouldn't you?
Of course I would. Kudos to Paula Torres and her family. Beautiful tequila. Obviously, it starts from the agave, and they know exactly what they're doing. They got 5 generations of experience doing this. So
you know how I mentioned a little bit earlier that they do use what we call the Mozart method. Believe it or not, they take that one step further. They don't just play the music during the fermentation, but she's actually confessed to me that herself or her sister or some of the people that work for her that take care of the agave, they sing to the plants. They sing to the agave while it's growing. There have been studies done that if you talk to your plants, your house plants at home, or you play certain music, or treat it as if it were a living, breathing thing, which it really is. They respond to that, and she's confessed to me that they don't just play the music while it's distilling, fermenting. They play it. They sing to it while it's in the field,
like the baby in the womb.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think? What do you say we try the reposado?
Yes. Well, the Blanco is. I highly recommend it. I can even smell some white pepper now coming out of there.
Yes, yeah, okay. But that's what I couldn't place. I know it was, and I know I can always count on you to find it because there's always something that I can't. I know you've discovered herbs and spices that I have not been able to acquire yet.
We are students.
Spices. Did I just make a joke there? I'm sorry.
Well, let's pour the reposado.
Now the reposado is rested. The reposado and the añejo are rested in oak barrels, in whiskey barrels, and if I'm not mistaken, and she Paula may tell me I'm wrong, but I believe that they are used Jack Daniel's barrels, and she's a traditionalist about that as well. She wanted to make sure that it wasn't any kind of fancy barrels. She wanted to do it the way. Well, I mean, the first reposado ever rested was Herraduras, and they used Jack Daniel's barrels, and they kind of set the standard. And so I think that's where she comes from when she rests the reposado and the añejo. She wants to make sure that they are used whiskey barrels. And this one's got a very light color to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
It's not rested very long, and I'm sorry I don't have my notes in front of me. I'm not exactly sure how long it's rested. Probably, I would say less than anywhere from 6 to 8 months. I don't quote me on that, but that's what it looks like to me, because it's a very light straw color almost.
Yeah, it is. It's very light. It's got an interesting nose to it. You got to sometimes let it breathe just a little bit. Oh, you're right. They are using single-use bourbon American white oak barrels, and I believe from the information on the reposado, it's up to 11 months.
Okay, so you're reading the information.
I'm reading
I'm glad one of us is reading. I don't have my glasses on. Sorry. I'm glad one of us is reading.
Now this is open.
Like I say, she's very much a traditionalist when it comes to her tequilas, and
yeah, so it's got a soft light color, real light straw color, and I can smell a little vanilla.
It's not very heavy on the wood, though. You know, the wood does not take away the agave flavor, which I believe that's exactly what they were going for.
I can smell the vanilla in there. They claim that there's a little bit of cinnamon in there. I'm trying to grab that in my nose. Have you tasted it yet?
I'm still looking at the color. I'm really surprised at how light the color is.
Yeah,
and I know, you know, they wanted to complement the tequila as opposed to mask it, which I'm really happy with.
Yeah, you don't want to mask that Blanco.
That Blanco's a stellar Blanco.
Well, it definitely has a nice light vanilla aroma.
Mm-hmm. It does, and the flavor as well, too. I get a little bit of cinnamon in there. I do, a little bit.
And this is a little pepper in there.
Well, you don't lose that. You know, that's a testament to not losing it from the Blanco,
right.
Evidently, because this is a now see the interesting. I don't know why I feel this way, but I would mix the reposado in a cocktail, wouldn't you?
Why not? Now, for some reason, the reposado is a little spicier to me than the Blanco. I didn't find the Blanco to be as spicy.
No, I didn't either. That's why I'm saying I think that the reposado would really lend itself to mixing in a cocktail, because I think it would stand out.
Is it spicy and peppery to you in the
Yeah, it's spicy to me. It's spicy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the cinnamon that I was tasting. You know, the cinnamon tends to be kind of hot. You know, you bite into a cinnamon stick, it'll turn hot on you after a certain length of time.
It's another nice reposado.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, I would experiment with this one, and I would mix it in a cocktail. And I don't ordinarily do that myself with reposados. I like sipping reposados, but this one really, I don't know. I think in a margarita, this one would really shine. And I'm not sure why I wouldn't do it with the Blanco. I'm a purist. I love Blancos. I mean, the Blanco to me, and I'm sure Alex will agree, is an excellent indication as to what the rest of the line's going to taste like. But you're right. And I think the spiciness may come from the barrel, don't you?
Yes, I think so. But it's got a beautiful mouthfeel to it. I mean, my gums are numb, which is unique in a reposado.
Yeah, because usually it's the Blanco that does that for you.
Right. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we give it a
Oh yeah. We give it a long
We give it a
You know, and I can see why this was an award winner. This is a delightful tequila. And now that, you know, it's interesting, when I taste these alone, I have a certain opinion, but it's always interesting to share my opinions with somebody like yourself, Alex, who has I would call your palate a much more trained one than mine because of your wine background and your mixology background, but you help me pick out certain things that I have maybe not have picked out the first couple of times that I've tasted a certain brand.
You're much too modest.
You know, I'm learning. I really am. For those of us who do this for a living or do this as a passion, you know, you're always learning. You never really finish you can't really say you're an expert. You know, I always say I'm a student, and so I always pick up little nuances and things that I haven't been able to. I mean, it's happened while we do on the sipping off the cuff, which is why we call it that, because we really don't know what's going to happen. You've helped me realize a couple of things that I just can't place. You know, so I'm really delighted with this Reposado. It's much more fun, really, to taste this with somebody that you can share your opinions with, and we do it literally from one state to another. So when you folks are doing this at home, I recommend you do it with friends and family or somebody that you can share notes with, because it really does help you pick out the nuances that maybe you've missed the first couple of times that you've tried it on your own, or that you can't place.
Yeah, definitely taste with a friend.
Mm-hmm. Taste with a friend.
Sip with a friend.
Now, how about the añejo?
The añejo.
Now, I'm looking at this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm looking at the añejo and the reposado side by side. They're almost the same color, aren't they?
Almost. In fact, I'm surprised the añejo isn't a little darker. But yeah, you're right. I got them side by side, which it might be difficult for the bartender to sometimes distinguish too.
Well, the only way if you look at your packaging, the Blanco has a blue ribbon that goes across the top of the stopper.
Right.
The Reposado has a red ribbon, and the Añejo has a gold ribbon. You're right. Your mixologist may have to be very careful which one he reaches for, because they're very close in color, the Reposado and the Añejo. And again, that's done on purpose, I'm sure, because Paula, and the Torres family did not want to lose they didn't want to mask the beauty of the agave and the Blanco that they have, and so they don't want the wood notes to overpower the Blanco. They want it to complement the Blanco, and I think that's the reason they're almost identical in color.
Yeah, it's a little darker, but it does have a beautiful gold, light gold.
It's a gold color. Yes, it's a little bit darker. Once I have it in my glass, I guess it's deceiving when you look at it in the bottle, but when you look at it in your Riedel glass, it is a little bit darker. You can tell the difference.
Now, this is in same bourbon oak barrels for up to 3 years.
Wow, and it's still not very dark. I think that's a good thing. I smell more barrel on this one. It's the wood notes are much more pronounced than the añejo.
In fact, I could smell charred barrel. Got some vanilla in there, which you usually find. It almost smells like whiskey, like a bourbon.
Yeah, if you didn't know this was tequila, you'd swear it was something else.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that. Should blind taste a whiskey or a bourbon lover.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're going to introduce a friend of yours, a whiskey or bourbon lover, to tequila, this would be an excellent entry point, I think, for people like that. And I don't give Alex enough credit. He was, for those of you who don't know our background, we've known each other for 10 years, and we've talked and shared information about tequila for 10 years. And Alex was the one that told me one day, he says, tequila drinkers, especially those who experiment from the whiskey, for those who like whiskey and bourbons, they'll gravitate to the darker tequilas. And then once they have their fill of that, they'll experiment and they realize that there's more to it. There's the reposado, and eventually they become Blanco drinkers. So, in the course of their education for tequila, coming from a whiskey or cognac or bourbon background, people tend to gravitate to the darker tequilas first, and then they open up to the lighter and lighter tequilas, and until they realize that, hey, there's a whole world out there of Blancos. And with those of us who have been exposed to tequila almost all of our lives, it's the other way around. For me, I always look at the Blancos first, and then as I've gotten more experienced, I've kind of gravitated to taste more, to be more open to reposados and be more open to añejos and extra añejos for that matter, because that's a whole nother animal. So you were the one that actually explained it to me. There's a certain natural progression when it comes from the people from whiskey backgrounds into tequila, when they start experimenting with other spirits.
Yeah, that seems to be the tendency, because obviously if you've got a hardcore bourbon whiskey drinker, thinking to say tequila, but if you pour them a glass of añejo or extra añejo and tell them to taste it without telling them it's tequila, they can say, "Wow, what is that?" They'll never believe it's tequila.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Nobleza Añejo would be one of those tequilas. A friend of mine, we should just mention him while we're at it, Jason Lerner from Tipo Nuevo in the Chicago area in Illinois.
Hey, Jason.
Jason! We're a little shout out to Jason. He calls these tequilas gateway tequilas.
Oh, yeah.
There's certain nomenclature that the industry adopts, and he calls certain tequilas gateways for people who are beginning to experiment. From vodka drinkers who are experimenting with tequila, bourbon drinkers, whiskey drinkers, and so I would call this a gateway tequila. This would be a gateway tequila. Your añejo for Nobleza would be a great gateway tequila for anybody who's a whiskey or bourbon drinker and looking for something more.
Most definitely, I agree.
Yeah, this is definitely something if you have a friend of yours who's a dyed-in-the-wool whiskey drinker, and you say, hey, let me turn you on to some great tequila, this would be the one that I would use. One of a few, but definitely this is a gateway tequila.
Now, the beauty of tequila, and I know you do this all the time, Mike. I've learned this from you. You let it sit in the glass, and it continues to evolve. And this añejo continues to evolve.
Yeah,
it has
really and Paula Torres will tell you the same thing. She will agree with you, Alex, that that tequila really should be treated like a woman. It's temperamental. In fact, you and I do the same thing very much. We treat our tequilas like wine. We open it up. Both of us. Many of us in the business, we have spirits, tequilas that are delivered to us during the day. We don't open them right away. We let them sit because we understand that it's been agitated depending on the weather, extreme cold like it is now in the wintertime, or extreme heat like it is in the summertime. These tequila particularly is very temperamental. And so Paula will say it's temperamental like a woman. You have to treat her like a woman. So you let it sit for a little while, then you pour it in your Riedel glass, and you let it open, and you stir it around, let it sit there for half an hour. That's what I do. I open it, put it in my Riedel glass, and I walk away. I go off and do something else, and then come back to it, and give it, a couple of spins, a couple of stirs, and it does. This one, I think the more it sits here, does it get sweeter to you?
It is a little sweeter. I think it's that vanilla is just popping out of there.
Yeah, this is for now again, for those of you those of you of the female persuasion, those of you who are women who are listening to us, this is an excellent tequila for your palate also. If you're looking for a tequila that you can be comfortable in sipping straight or mixing it with a margarita or in a cocktail, but this particular añejo is a really good sipping añejo for and I wouldn't even say for the female palate, but I think the female palate would very much appreciate what's going on with this añejo. An after dinner añejo. Even this añejo is even light enough to have before dinner, frankly. This is not your heavy añejo that you have as a digestive. You can really literally have it.
Am I going to have to cut you off already, Mike?
You have to cut me off. Actually, my French is really bad. But some añejos are great after dinner.
Some añejos are very heavy.
They're very heavy. This añejo is not heavy, though. This añejo would be really good even before dinner, for that matter.
No, it's a beautiful añejo. Very, very enjoyable.
The Nobleza folks, Paula Torres and the family have done a wonderful job with this tequila. I can see where it really won a lot of hearts over at Spirits of Mexico in 2010. Very, very impressed with it. The wood notes on the añejo do not take away from the blanco, which I think was purposely done.
They're just right.
Yeah,
it's
just right. They couldn't have picked a better distillery. As I said before, we'll have a full article on Nobleza and the trials and tribulations of a female brand owner and agave grower very soon on TequilaAficionado.com. But in the meantime, if you see Nobleza Tequila, or if you happen to be anywhere in Southern California, Las Vegas, Illinois, they're in just a few states. We're hoping to get them here in New Mexico. Do yourself a favor. Pick up any one of the varietals. You don't necessarily, I think Alex would agree, you don't necessarily have to stick to the Blanco to get a good idea as to what the rest of the line is going to look like or taste like. I think they've done an excellent job in keeping the character of the Blanco intact where it comes to the Reposado and the Añejos as well. So,
most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're only available in a few states. I think they're in California, Chicago, Nevada.
Yeah, in Nevada. They just got into Nevada, as a matter of fact. So, and they've only been really known since September of last year. I mean, literally just under 6 months. So they're very new, but they are a definite must-have for your tequila library. As far as I'm concerned, I know Alex agrees with me.
Most definitely.
This is a fine tequila.
Yeah, pick it up. Here in California, you've got Old Town Liquor that's carrying it.
Mm-hmm.
In the L.A. area, you've got High Time Wine Cellars. Actually, that's Costa Mesa, which is Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few places. If you go up to their website, NoblezaTequila.com, you can find out where to buy it, where to find it.
And if you keep an eye on Tequila Aficionado in the next few weeks, we will announce, or if you're hooked up with us on Facebook and or Twitter, you will be able to announce to you when the article for Nobleza Tequila and Paula Torres and the Torres family will be out, so that you'll get a little bit more in-depth information on them and her and this excellent brand of promise. There's a lot of promise in this brand. Pick it up. You won't be sorry. You pick it up, take it to a party. It's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah,
this is a really wonderful tequila.
You will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mike. This has been Alex Perez and Mike Morales with Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado. We've been reviewing Nobleza Azul Tequila, and it's been an excellent ride today. We highly recommend it. Thank you, Paula. You're doing a great job. Paula, great tequila. Keep doing what you're doing. And as always, sip wisely.